Shikanoko Nokonoko is hilariously unfunny, and the fact that it's this unfunny is really disappointing and surprising to me. It's disappointing because lately, I've been searching for a show to fill this Nichijou-shaped hole in my heart, and sadly this show isn't up to par. It's also surprising because creating a comedy anime has to be one of the easiest things to do on this planet. Like, the genre of comedic anime is already filled with a bunch of low effort, low grade, and low quality slop. So for a show like Shikanoko, compared to everything else in the market, the bar is pretty much at rock bottom. As long as it shills to brain-dead anime fans who consume this slop, it'll be labeled as a timeless classic that will be worshipped in a sarcophagus alongside dog shit like Kaguya-sama and Spy Time's Family. But the thing is, even with its horrible competition and piss-easy standards, Shikanoko still somehow fails horribly when it comes to being even slightly funny. And it's not like I want the show to be unfunny, like my hopes are super high after I saw the silly marketing and the goofy opening. I bookmarked the show on my anime list, I put the episode release date on my calendar, and I even momentarily postponed my Nichijou rewatch to be after Shikanoko fully released. But the thing is, all these preparations were in vain, as Shikanoko is one of the most unfunny, unintelligent, and unremarkable shows I've ever seen. And to understand how unfunny the show is, you have to keep in mind that comedy is a cold, calculated, and complex formula that can be divided into multiple categories. The three cornerstones that make up comedic anime include strategic bits, character interaction bits, and visual representation bits. Strategic bits are usually set in a distinct location, with a select cast that run through a series of events that ultimately build up to a conclusion in the form of a punchline. The set of events are meant to sway your expectations down one path, and the punchline is usually meant to defy these expectations. Character interactions are self-explanatory, and visual representation is just the use of the medium of animation to convey specific pieces of comedy that can't be found in other creative mediums. Some examples of this include shocking reaction face and whatever Inferno Cop is. These are pretty broad generalizations, but they pretty much encompass all forms of comedy that could be seen in the medium of Japanese animation. Just like imagine that each category is a circle on a Venn diagram, and the bits across all anime can be put into each of these sections. Now conveniently, in Chikanoko's case, they ran at least one bit that could be categorized in each of these cornerstones, which makes reviewing it very easy and simple. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be taking a look at each bit that falls into each of these categories, and I'm going to be analyzing them, and I'll be explaining why they're unfunny, starting off with the strategic bit. Before I talk about the actual bit, I just want to run through the bit real quick to, refresh your memory on the bit. The bit I'll be analyzing is the deer bit, which consists of deer, Koshi, and it takes place in a shed. Alright, in section 1, the bit starts when Koshi girl gives a band-aid to the deer girl after she gets injured. After that, the deer girl resumes her cleaning of the shed. Seeing how the deer girl is struggling, Koshi girl offers to help. In section 2, the cleaning commences, and it is skipped completely with the montage. In section 3, we see a short and heartwarming conversation between Koshi and the deer after all the cleaning is complete, and then we transition into section 4, and in section 4 we learn that the deer was actually cleaning the shed in order to prepare for a brand new deer club that the deer is gonna make. Koshi then gets pressured into join the deer club, and then the bit ends. In my opinion, this scene only does one thing right, and that's the introduction scene in which the mood is set off pretty well. But other than that, I just have to say that I was just very unimpressed with every other section of this bit. All my problems lie in the fact that there's barely any build up before the punchline. The broken remnants of a build up in the form of a short montage and the 5-second conversation between the deer and Koshi just don't really do a good job at swaying my expectations. Other than these two bits of build up, this bit is basically a jump from the introduction directly to the punchline, which is just horrible execution. I had no time to build up any expectations, so my expectations weren't even defied by the punchline. It completely misses the point of the strategic bit. Overall, I just think it's very unfunny and horribly executed, especially when compared to like Nichijou, but I don't really want to talk about it right now. Moving on, let's just move on. I really don't have much to say about the character interactions because I've only seen 2 characters so far. And from the 2 characters that I've seen, they kind of just came off as bland and two-dimensional. This Koshi girl is just tsundere, and the deer person is just stupid and a blatant rip-off of Nano from Nichijou. And the fact that she rips off Nano is just very unnecessary and takes away from her character as a whole. Like throughout the whole episode, she shows off how she's a retarded deer person with antlers, causing multiple scenes and drawing attention to herself. But then all of a sudden, she's self-conscious about being a deer freak, which I just think is bad writing and not in character at all. Like if she genuinely cared about her appearance, she would not be acting so blatantly regarded in front of all of her classmates. So yeah, I don't really want to analyze the deer person's character interaction bits. The character is just too random and inconsistent, so like most of the bits will probably just be random nonsense with no logic. And is it really possible to explain why a joke is unfunny if the joke is just a constant train of nonsense? I don't really want to try, so moving on. The visual representations are honestly pretty decent, but they aren't really funny. They're just kind of silly. Like the CG deers are silly and the photos of the Japanese landmarks are goofy. But you shouldn't be laughing at them. If you laugh at these, you're probably like a grade schooler or something. 'Cause I don't know. They're just deers. It's not really that funny. I don't really want to talk about the show anymore. I spent too long writing about the freaking strategic bits. Moving on. Overall, the show is bland and funny. The only good thing about the show are the CG deers, and that's about it. Compared to something that's actually funny like Nichijou, the show is just hot ass and a complete waste of time. If you have nothing to do, if you don't care about your time, and if you like CG deers, then you could go ahead and watch it. Otherwise, spare yourself and watch something like Nichijou. I don't know.